Right at the right. And
Jamie, could you confirm the width for me for a second?
Yeah, whiff 05, Luca.
Copy, thanks. Sorry, Chris.
no problem.
Going smoothly, thanks to you. The ground would be happy to take cameras back over from you, and you have a go to open shutters when you'd like.
Copy that, and cameras are all yours. Cupola shutters too, huh?
Taking me so long.
Yeah, no worries. One thing we were thinking of is maybe check that the half shells are completely seated, and I'm sure you did that, but just verify.
Well, I would get it completely seated, and then I'd go to move it, and it would, I could see it slightly rotate because of the memory in the cable.
Sure, I'm ready to copy the setting for ATSR. Sorry.
Okay, Luca, it's 6 o'clock, uniform, Foxtrot 6.
Uniform, Foxtrot 6, copy.
Parmitano is installing the portable foot restraint back into a worksite interface, or a WIF, as the acronym is known by. Its job complete for the day. Karen Nyberg powering down the robotics workstation in the Destiny laboratory with the compliments of the robotics officer here in Mission Control. A job well done at the end of all of that robotic work for this particular spacewalk. 4 hours, 17 minutes into today's EVA, Cassidy and Parmitano continue to press ahead as Cassidy is continuing his work to reconfigure connectors on the bottom side of the Z1 truss rat's nest, as it is called, at the International Space Station's midpoint of the truss. This installation of the first of two jumper cables at the Z1 truss designed to provide redundancy in the event of any major systems failure, any major component of the station that would be brought down by either a cooling system failure or an electrical failure on the complex.
Trying to figure out, Shane, which BRT position gives me the most purchase power.
Copy that, Chris.
The International Space Station has just crossed the U.S.-Canadian border, flying from southwest and northeast, just north of North Dakota, about to pass to the north of Winnipeg and over Ontario on this particular orbit of the Earth, flying at an altitude of 260 statute miles.
Jane, the APSR is installed on P5. Uniform, Golf Foxtrot 6, and good pull test.
Copy, Luca. Last thing you can do with the Ingress 8 is just telescope it in and collapse it against the boot plate, and then we'll take a glove inspection.
And that's already been done. It's already telescoped in and stored on the boot plate.
Copy that, Luca, and we'll take a glove check.
Okay, the left glove is in normal condition. It looks like I have some yellow paint that wiped off on one of the fingers. And the right glove is nominal.
Copy gloves, Luca.
Oh, there we go. Yes. Okay, Shane, that's made it.
Hey, great job, Chris. Hey, before we move to the forward side, on the G-Tech bag, if you can make sure that that is tethered either to its own tether point or to one of the stanchions on the handrail, that'd be great.
What do you mean?
It looks like to us it's
not going to float away?
Yeah, it looks like to us it's to the strap, and we need it actually back to its own tether point or to a stanchion on the handrail.
Ah, okay. Absolutely, I'm with you now. Okay, that's inward.
And Luca, for you, you can head to the CETA cart, and you're going to pack up the FSE bag. Give me an inventory when you get there, and then we'll bring that back.
Copy, work.
All right, Shane.
All right, Chris, next for you, we're going to move to the forward connectors, the nadir side of the forward connectors. You can tether to the J2 and J3 dust caps using either rest that you have or adjustables from the crew lock bag.
Okay.
And confirm it's the port cart?
That's correct, Luca. Port CETA carts. And once you get there, you can give me the bag inventory. And then we're going to leave that bag there, change the plan, and then we're going to head you out to the PMA to cover and install after that.
Copy, so just the bag inventory.
Chris Cassidy continues to plow through the task of configuring connectors for the installation of this first jumper cable on the Z1 patch panel at the midpoint of the station's truss at the 4-hour, 24-minute mark into today's spacewalk. Luca Parmitano is cleaning up following his excursion at the end of the station's robotic arm, which is now at rest. Its work complete for the day. Parmitano will be returning several bags of equipment to the Quest airlock before he rejoins Cassidy after the jumper cable work to install a large cover over the forward end of pressurized mating adapter number 2, the docking port at the forward end of the U.S. segment of the International Space Station.
Okay. You made it?
Okay, Chris, I think I heard you say you had J2 and J3 dust caps demated. Is that correct?
Stay firm, yep.
Okay, next you can, on the Whiskey 10 cable, you can demate P1 from the patch panel J1.
Okay. Whiskey 10. Whiskey 10, J1, P1. This guy right here.
That's correct. And Chris, you're going to move that to J3, so it's the one kind of in the backwards L at the bend there. So just a couple inches below you by your right hand.
Roger that. No fraud. Pins are straight, solid EMI band. No evidence of arcing or anything. Okay, move into J3.
Correct. You have a go to mate P1 to J3.
Shane, whenever you're ready, I'm ready for the inventory.
Okay, Luca, we'll take the inventory, and then you can pack up the bag and close it when we're done, but I'm ready.
Copy. Outside, I have two small adjustable equipment tether and one large, small adjustable equipment tether. Inside, I have one rack going directly to one of the structures. I have another rack going to the round scoop attached to one of the structures. And then I have another rack going to a socket caddy with a 9-inch socket on it.
Okay, stand by, Luca. Copied all. And for Chris, you ready for your next steps?
Ready.
Okay, on the jumper now, you can mate P3 to J1 and P2 to J2.
In work. All four have good, are all thing. The two receptacles and the two plugs have no FOD. Pins are straight, EMI bands are good. P3 to J1.
Copy all, Chris. P3 to J1.
And Shane, sorry about that. I also have another rack with a tip pin with a small trash bag attached to it.
Luca, we copied that, and I think that's a good inventory. We'll just verify that real quick, and you can start closing up the bag.
Copy. Shane, while I have you, you confirm that you said that I will leave this bag here. I don't have to take it back to the airlock.
That's correct, Luca. You're going to leave that bag there, and we're going to head you down the starboard side of the lab out to the PMA2 work site.
Okay, starboard onto the PMA.
At the 4.5-hour mark into the spacewalk, the crew continuing to run almost 30 minutes ahead of the timeline. Luca Parmitano now will move across a series of handrails on the Destiny laboratory to the forward end of the Harmony connecting node to pressurized mating adapter number 2, where he will begin work to set up and prepare for the installation of a large cover along with Cassidy on the docking mechanism that used to be used for space shuttle arrivals and which will one day be used for the arrival of commercial crew vehicles for docking. Cassidy continues to work with the jumper cable at the Z1 truss. He will also be setting up and pre-positioning a second jumper cable on the zenith or top side of the Z1 patch panel at the center point of the station's truss structure. That completion of the Z1 jumper installation to be undertaken by Cassidy and Parmitano next Tuesday during their next spacewalk.
Allow extra slack in the first few cover straps to make sure you have coverage for the whole mating surface.
Copy all. Shane, thanks.
Okay. All 3 of those are mated.
Copy, Chris.
Hey,
nice
Shane.
work. Yep, go ahead.
Why don't you take a second and catch me up to speed on where we are and what you guys are thinking? This is taking a little bit longer. I want to make sure that we're all on the same page.
Hey, Chris, we're still about, and Luca, we're still about 20 minutes ahead of the timeline, so things are going really well. Once you get done here, Chris, we'll send you out to help Luca out with the PMA2 cover. We'll sync up there.
Okay. Consumables are looking okay. You don't have to give me an exact number, but...
So, Chris, not much has changed on the consumables, so we'll just leave it at that for now. We do see you touching the Whiskey 05 cable every now and then. We don't want to make sure we do not touch that, so just be aware of that.
Roger that. Good reminder. All right, so that bottom jumper is installed.
Okay, next we're going to go for the aft connectors. Now we're on the 3 Bravo, which is on the zenith side. Should have the 3 Bravo jumper. You can put a dust cap on the P1 part of the 3 Bravo jumper. And the dust cap should be in the crew lock bag.
Dust cap on the 3 Bravo jumper. Are you at PMA 2, Luca?
That's correct, Chris. I just got there.
Roger that. You can pretend to be a shuttle.
Spread my wings and fly away.
Which end gets the cap chain?
So P1
Of the
on the
jumper?
P1 on the 3 Bravo jumper should have the dust cap on it.
Key 1 on the 3 Bravo jumper right here in my hand. Okay, that's complete.
Okay, Chris, now you're going to put that jumper P1 and the other jumper you worked on earlier into the G-Tech bag.
Roger that.
And Chris, if you think it might be easier to mate these connectors and do that later, that's up to you.
I think it'd be easier to mate them first and then deal with the G-Tech. Otherwise, it's just going to come squirting out of the G-Tech.
Hey,
Copy that.
Shane, whenever you're a second.
And Luca, let me get.
Yes, Shane, whenever you have a
Yep,
second.
let me get Chris going here, Luca. Then I'll get with you. All right.
No problem.
So, Chris, next you can on the 006 patch panel, you can tether to the J2 and J3 dust caps with an adjustable from the crew lock bag, and then demate those.
All right.
Chris Cassidy has completed work with the configuration of the first of the two jumper cables for the Z1 truss. Again, these jumper cables designed to provide redundancy for the continuity of electrical power to critical station systems in the event of a random failure of a major component on the station. He is now working to set up on the zenith or top side of the Z1 truss cables, connectors, and dust caps that will be used for the installation of the second of these two jumper cables a week from today.
Caps are moved.
Copy, Chris. Next, you're going to get the P2 and P3 jumper side. You're going to mate the P3 to J3 and P2 to J2.
3 to 3, 2 to 2.
Well, Cassidy completes the setup of the second of the two jumper cables at the Z1 truss for next week's final installation on the top side of the Z1. Luca Parmitano is on the top side of pressurized mating adapter number 2 in view here as he is beginning work to set up the equipment and the bag that that includes the cover for the docking port that space shuttles used to link up to and which commercial crew vehicles will one day dock to. This is a protective cover that will provide protection at the docking interface there from any micrometeoroid debris that may be in the field of the International Space Station. It also provides thermal protection to regulate the temperature on that forward docking port on the U.S. segment of the International Space Station. A similar cover was installed over pressurized mating adapter number 3 during the STS-135 mission, the final shuttle flight in program history 2 years ago. That cover was installed by expedition crew members Mike Fossum and Ron Garan during the one spacewalk out of the station's Quest airlock during Atlantis' trip to the space station 2 years ago.
Three is mated. There was no flaw. The pins were straight, and it did have a solid EMI band. And that is the case also with E2 going to J2.
Copy, Chris.
and there's so much memory that it's really wants to bend the connector out when I get it lined up. That's what's taking me so long.
Copy, Chris. And Luca, once you start going there, you can start with 0415 and then 18.
Copy. It worked.
It gloves a little tiny bit of RTV removed on my left index finger. And E2 and J2 are mated.
Copy, Chris, and copy the gloves. So now you can insert the P1s into the G-Tech bag and cinch those down.
Roger that.
Luca, after you get 18, next will be 16 and 17.
Copy.
Hey, Shane, one other question. I don't think I heard the PET right now. Tell us what that is.
Yeah, we're at 445, Chris, PET.
Thank you.
This is Mission Control Houston at the 4-hour, 45-minute mark into the mission, into the spacewalk for today. Luca Parmitano making good progress as he plays solo here in the installation of the protective thermal cover over the forward end of the docking mechanism at pressurized mating adapter number 2. While he's involved in that work, Chris Cassidy continues the setup of equipment associated with the second part of the installation of jumper cables at the Z1 truss. One side, the nadir or bottom side of the Z1 truss patch panel now is equipped with these jumper cables that would be used to bypass an electrical failure induced in any key or critical component of the International Space Station. The second part of this installation on the top side of the Z1 truss will be accomplished a week from today when Cassidy and Parmitano exit the Quest airlock for the second of their 2 spacewalks.
Chris, that's a nice job tightening that up. Everybody's happy with that. Before you get out of there, if we could get a WVS survey of the area. Once we get that, we'll have you go get the IAPFR and we'll install it in a different whip.
Copy.
And Shane, I think it's worth it for me to just work the other side first and then rejoin at the bottom rather than trying to go all around. If that's okay with you, change a little bit of change of plan.
Luca, that sounds like a great plan.
Okay, copy. I'm gonna be wrapping the 50 better nadir. And then come back down the same way.
Copy, Luca.
Okay, Shane, I'm ready.
All right, Chris, once you get that whiff, we're going to install it in whiff 10, which is just forward of the work site where you were earlier, and we'll install it with a clocking of 6.
Whiff 10.
And Chris, when you were in the Z1 work site area, it's just off to your left on the forward side of Z1.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I see it. How's it going there, Luca?
Well, it's kind of when you're trying to make your bed by yourself, one side is overshorted than the other. And so I'm going to try and make it a little prettier.
Roger that. Ready to the APFR. And I think you said 6.
Yeah, Chris, 6 o'clock, and then any other orientation just to keep it out of the work site, make sure it's clear for you next week.
Okay, the black lines are lined up, clocked at 6. There's a good wiggle test. Installed in whiff 10.
Copy, Chris. If we could get the other settings, that'd be great. And once he's done with that, Luca, if you could just give us a sense of, do you think you need Chris to come out there and help you a little bit, or are you good?
It's up to you guys. I think I can finish it in a couple of more minutes. It's up to you guys.
While you're thinking about it, fuel bag inventory. On one integral ret, there's an adjustable with a spare cap and a trash bag. We have one blank integral ret, and then two integral rets have an adjustable on each, and they both have all four dust caps. That's on the inside of the bag.
That's good inventory, Chris. Thanks.
All right, Shane, I'm leaving. Going back to the airlock and await your instructions. Let's kind of tag up.
And Chris, hold off for just a second. Could you give us the settings on that APFR first?
Oh, yeah, you bet. It's clocked at 6. RST. WW. Foxtrot 12.
Copy,
did you
Chris.
get the WVS survey you were looking for?
Yes, we did. And we're going to have you now head to do the PDGF FOD removal task.
Okay.
And Chris, before you head out from there, we want you to kind of peek down to the Node 1 area, give us a survey of handrail 0141 and the MLM, if you can. Okay, Chris, we're happy with that view. That's great. Now you can proceed. If you want to take pictures, that's fine as well. Looks like you're getting the camera out.
Yeah.
This is Mission Control Houston, approaching the 5-hour mark in the spacewalk today.
Hold the Velcro, Rob. And if I'm correct, once I have them all, you want me to go around one more time and cinch you down. Is that correct?
That is correct, Luca. Nice job. Yeah, we do want you to go around again and cinch them down.
Luca Parmitano working solo at pressurized mating adapter number 2 as he secures a thermal protection and micrometeoroid debris cover over the front end of that docking port once used by space shuttles. With this task that was originally designed for both he and Chris Cassidy moving ahead in good shape, Cassidy likely will be asked to make his way over to the Zarya module of the International Space Station for a get-ahead task, which was originally planned for next Tuesday as a planned task, that being in the inspection and removal of a grounding strap that is located under a piece of multi-layer insulation for the power, data, and grapple fixture that's on the Zarya module of the International Space Station that connects the U.S. and Russian segments of the complex. The Zarya module, the first element launched to the International Space Station almost 15 years ago. Photos showed a grounding wire protruding from the grapple fixture's electrical connector door. Cassidy would go there, peel back a portion of that insulation, pull the excess wire to the exterior of the grapple fixture and secure it with a piece of Velcro. That will remove that from any interference. The power and data grapple fixture is being contemplated for use as a robotic base on the Russian segment of the International Space Station for future spacewalking assembly and maintenance work. Meanwhile, we're in a gap between satellites on our tracking and data satellite system, and although we retain S-band voice communications, we'll be regaining a TV capability from the station in about 14 minutes or so. The spacewalk continuing to proceed on track. The crew members about 20 minutes or so ahead of the timeline as they continue to work their way in the home stretch of the planned tasks for this 170th spacewalk in support of station assembly and maintenance.
PMA-1 MDM and above 22 inches of EVA crane stanchion. And a note, the VSC cover should not be used as a translation aid. That's a thing that's real nice there in your work site. It's easy to grab, but it'll come right off. So I don't want to grab that.
Copy all.
All right, so you want to translate zenith of the PDGF. If needed, you can BRT to the RAMA handrail. Otherwise, you can just use your mini workstation end effector to the tether point.
That's complete.
All right, Chris, you're going to insert the large crew hook.
Complete.
Insert the large crew hook in the zenith forward electrical connector doors. Orient the hook perpendicular to the door so the hook does not damage the pins.
Complete.
Okay, inspect the grounding wire and attachment point just for potential damage or snag hazards that may be there. Then you can open up the zenith forward PDGF MLI, and once you do that, you can pull the grounding wire slack out of the housing.
It looks already done.
Okay, yeah, just make sure it's out and it's not sticking out the top at all. Then you can secure the grounding wire slack between the PDGF housing and the MLI.
Let's see, this is a fabric line here in my finger. The grounding wire strap makes me think of a metal thing.
Hey Shane, look at here. I finished with the cinching. It's nice and stable.
Hey, really great job, Luca. And for Chris, it should be metal, but we think it may be coated with something, and that's what you're seeing.
Okay, there's nothing here that can interfere with the mating of any connectors. Can you see in my helmet?
We don't have WVS right now, Chris, but if you got it all clear, that's great.
I'll take a picture for you.
Hey, Luca, for you, if you could just take a look around, see if you see anything maybe floating around down there. If so, just take some pictures.
Copy. Finishing up. I'm closing the bag here. In the bag, everything is in order. I see the 2 cables. Do you want me to do an inventory?
Hey, Chris, for you, just want to make sure that you pulled the MLI back and then pulled the wire through that and then secured it with the MLI down below. Did you do that?
Yeah, it's, short answer is yes. I didn't have to do anything. Already pulled back. And I don't see any, as I look in the hole, I don't see the other side of it. I don't see it. So I think there's no concern of the wire coming in the path of the connectors. And it's secured on the outside of the grapple fixture.
Copy, Chris. Stand by. Hey, Chris, one last try here. Just we'd like you to make sure you pull all the wire out if you can. So, release the MLI, pull the wire out, and then secure the wire with the MLI.
Yeah, so that's what I'm saying. I probably didn't describe it well enough. I pull it and nothing happens. There's no slack to move. I'm pulling against the knots. If I pull harder, it could break.
Copy that.
And,
that's a good config then. And once
I think that's what you're talking about.
Once you get that done, we'll take a glove inspection.
And one other thing to report is that one of the flap doors is not closed, didn't close after I removed my hook.
Copy that, Chris. No action required on that.
No action required. Good gloves.
Good.
Same little
Copy,
bitty
good
RTV.
And Luke, I'll take the bag
On
inventory.
my left index.
Oh.
Am I done here, Shane? Sorry, Luca, one question. Am I done here, Shane?
Hey, Chris, I think we're going to have you work the first part of the 1553 connections in that same area. So if you're ready, or just let me know when you're ready for those, and I'll be back with you in a second.
Okay.
Okay, Shane, I have one adjustable. I attached my socket caddy. That's adjustable, so right now it's inside the bag. And I had 2 reds, one with a small trash bag, and one with a wire caddy. And then I had the 2 cables.
This is Mission Control Houston, 5 hours, 5 minutes into today's spacewalk. The first get-ahead task is complete, and it really involved almost nothing on the part of Chris Cassidy. Photos had showed a grounding wire protruding from a power and data grapple fixture on the Zarya module of the International Space Station from an electrical connector door, although Cassidy reported that that wire was properly seated, and so no action was required. Next up on the get-ahead list, the beginning of the routing of a cable called a 1553 cable, which ultimately is designed to route Ethernet and other data from the Zarya module all the way across pressurized mating adapter number 1 to the Tranquility module, this to provide additional electrical continuity between the U.S. and Russian segments of the International Space Station. This, another task that was on the list for next Tuesday's Spacewalk. This will not be completed today, only the first handful of steps associated with routing harness cables onto handrails on pressurized mating adapter number 1, which is the connecting point between the Destiny Laboratory and the Zarya module of the International Space Station.
Yeah, for the 1553 cables.
Oh, okay.
They're saying that the bag is rested and BRT to me.
Copy, Luca.
They go kind of in the handrail 11 area.
Yeah, that's correct. Just make sure your safety tether is routed over the cables. Yeah, heading towards 0011. And big picture, what we're thinking for Chris and Luca, once Luca gets that bag out to about where you are now, Chris, we're going to start working on the cables as get-aheads as well.
Copy. All right, so handrail 11 is what gets this wire tie, right? And I just leave these two connectors waiting for their buddies?
That's correct, Chris.
Where exactly are you, Luca?
I'm recovering my green hook on lab starboard.
Lab starboard, roger that. Okay, Shane, those cables come out of the PDGF and are wire tied to handrail 11. I'll make my way over to the node 3 area, I guess. That's the next place?
You're going to just hang there, Chris. Wait till Luca gets there, and you'll probably you're going to do kind of the Russian side, so you'll go from the node 1 bag area down to where you are now.
do you have a path for me to get to Chris?
Okay, Luca, we want you to go zenith on ESP2, and then down towards the airlock, and then aft on node 1.
Okay, perfect.
This is Mission Control Houston, 5 hours, 11 minutes into the spacewalk. The crew continuing to run ahead of its timeline to the extent that the cover now securely on the forward end of pressurized mating adapter number 2. That task completed in a solo fashion by Luca Parmitano. Now the crew will once again divide and conquer on 2 get-ahead tasks. Chris Cassidy will press ahead with the initial routing of what is called a 1553 cable that will provide data stretching all the way from the Zarya module across to pressurized mating adapter number 1 in advance of it being finally connected to a patch panel on the Tranquility module of the International Space Station. You're looking at that particular task in this virtual reality lab animation from our feature on this particular spacewalk. In addition to the routing of this 1553 cable all the way to Tranquility, Luca Parmitano will be working on the routing of an Ethernet cable from the forward end cone of the Unity module that connects the U.S. and Russian segments of the space station to the Zarya module. This in preparatory work for a future Russian spacewalk in which cosmonauts will route the Russian half of this cable, once again providing an Ethernet capability to the soon-to-be-launched multi-purpose laboratory module that is scheduled to lift off at the end of the year from the Baikonur Cosmodrome in Kazakhstan.
I need some clarification on that, Luca. You mean around the end cone?
Around, the crew, the equipment lock in the airlock. I'm in the airlock right now, and I'm just wondering if I need to carry something around.
No, let me chime in, Luca. You're also my tether is going directly here. It's going to kind of cut your corner a little bit.
Yeah, exactly. That's why I'm wondering.
Yeah, just do what you need to do to make it safe. You're the best judge of it right now in the whole entire universe.
And Chris, since you're out there, you can get a look ahead. Handrails 103 and 102 is where we're going to stow this bag on the zenith side of node 1.
And is it okay if I translate either of the airlock instead of later?
Say again, Luca.
And that avoids the conflict with my tether, right? Right, Luca?
Well, right now we would be crossing tethers.
Yeah.
So if I go zenith around the airlock, I think I avoid that.
Yeah, I concur. I think that's the best plan, guys.
I'm working on it right now. This way they're completely conflicted.
Yeah.
As long as I remember to come back the right way.
And what's the PET right now?
PET 515.
Thank you. There's an antenna by your right shoulder. Watch out.
Yes, sir.
There you go. That's perfect motion right there. Perfect motion. And another antenna right around the corner by your left hand.
Yes.
Nice. Nicely done. Perfect. Perfect, perfect, perfect.
Wow. Oh, that's...
Stay kind of high. Don't, stay up, go up by your feet. Because where we're going to put this bag is up.
Okay, away from your cable again.
We're going to drop your bag right here. Shane, you said 102 and 103, right?
That's correct.
So right up here, looking between the two of us is where the bag's going.
Hey, Chris, we change that to 102 and 104.
A good view of the Quest airlock, from which U.S. spacewalks are conducted at the International Space Station. The doghouse-looking structures around the circumference of the Quest airlock are the high-pressure gas tanks that are used to depressurize and repressurize the airlock for spacewalks.
Yeah.
Launched 12 years ago on the STS-104 mission to the International Space Station. Quest has been used by dozens of astronauts and cosmonauts in the conduct of spacewalks out of the International Space Station's U.S. segment.
Okay, it's still better to me, so I'm going to use the BRT.
Roger.
And I'm ready to it. No
You're
problem.
ready, no BRT. Copy. Okay, I have a ret onto structure from the bag.
Okay, and there's an integral.
Release your personal ret. That one.
The one, okay, I'm released.
Where'd it go?
And Chris and Luca, give us a few minutes. We're coming up with a big picture plan here, and we'll have it for you here shortly.
Roger. All right. Your wrist. Next page. Next page. I didn't get it. Okay, one more time.
While the spacewalk community confers with one another to sort out the get-ahead work that lies ahead for Cassidy and Parmitano, word is that control moment gyro number 4, which was partially spun down in support of the Z1 jumper cable installation, is now spinning back up, ultimately to 6,600 revolutions per minute, which is per the normal operating speed for that gyroscope that controls orientation or attitude control for the International Space Station electronically and not propulsively through the Russian segment of the complex. So everything in good shape as the crew continues pressing ahead with the spacewalk, now 5 hours and 20 minutes in duration. We should be getting a big picture outlook from spacecraft communicator Shane Kimbrough just a moment or two from now.
The cover came off while I was leading. The nice cover.
My camera cover doesn't like to stay on.
Yeah, Velcro is not quite super sharp either.
Well, nice work. That robotic arm stuff went really smooth.
Yeah, the positions were almost to the floor. Yeah, almost perfect.
Yeah, it's nice.
Quiet.
Okay, Chris and Luca, ready for the big picture?
We are.
All right, Chris, we're going to have you route the 1553 cable, so you'll get that out of the PMA2 bag there. Luca, we're going to have you head back to the CETA cart and grab the FSE bag, and then you're going to go temp stow that on the end cone of the airlock, and we'll check and see where you guys are at that point, and that should be about time to come on in.
Okay.
82 copy.
Copy all, and we're in the neighborhood of 530 PET, right?
520, Chris. And Chris, for you, when you get the cable out of the bag, we want you to leave the dust caps on the connectors, so you're going to have to release the hooks from the fish stringer in order to do that.
Okay, copy all. 520 PET, Lucas doing the FSC bag. I'm doing the 1553 cable. No outstanding hits on consumables, and life is good.
Couldn't be better.
Concur.
Chris Cassidy reading back the words from Spacewalk communicator Shane Kimbrough here in Mission Control. So the final verdict is another get-ahead task. The installation of the power and data grapple fixture data connector.
One more question, Shane. Is this PMA bag staying at this spot until next week?
That is correct, Chris.
Okay, copy.
This so-called 1553 cable to be routed from the Russian Zarya module to pressurized mating adapter number 1, ultimately to reach the Tranquility module to provide data continuity between the power and data grapple fixture currently located on Zarya and the U.S. segment of the International Space Station for the possibility of future robotic work that would be based off of the Zarya module at the forward end of the Russian segment of the International Space Station. The decision made to forego, for the moment at least, the installation of a Ethernet cable that ultimately will be used for data to the multipurpose laboratory module to be launched at the end of the year from the Baikonur Cosmodrome in Kazakhstan on a Russian Proton rocket. That task will be folded in to next Tuesday's spacewalk instead.
It should only have 2 NZGL connectors.
Oh yeah, 2 NZGLs and 2 Russian connectors.
That's the one.
That's what I think is what. That's what I think too.
Luca Parmitano instead will bring a bag locating that has been filled with flight support equipment that was used for the radiator grapple bar installation on both ends of the truss of the International Space Station earlier today. That flight support equipment bag will be returned in by Parmitano to the Quest airlock for stowage.
You want the caps to stay on the cable.
Affirmative, Chris. So, Chris, when you get that, you're going to head down to the PMA 0011 handrail.
So I'm going from the Russian side over.
That's correct.
Okay, in my possession is a 1553 cable. I'm going to bundle up the bag now.
Copy.
So it has a socket caddy with a socket on it, a trash bag, a wire tie caddy. Both the trash bag and wire tie caddy are connected to an adjustable tether, which is connected to a ret. And then it has the fish stringer and the other cable.
Copy all, Chris. Good inventory.
You need any of those tools to come inside with us, and they all stay right here all week.
Chris, we're thinking we may need the socket caddy standby.
All right, well, I'll come back and get it. It won't take a second.
Okay, sounds good.
Get going on it.
And there's also water in this bag. One socket caddy.
Copy, Luca. Looks like you're at the FSE bag site. Once you get that on your BRT, you can translate to the end cone of the airlock.
Copy.
And Chris and Luca, about 2 minutes to sunrise.
Roger that.
Roger.
This is Mission Control Houston. So to recap here, as our spacewalk enters the home stretch, now at the 5.5-hour mark, Chris Cassidy is pressing ahead with another get-ahead task, the partial routing of a cable known as a 1553 cable from the Zarya module's power and data grapple fixture to pressurized mating adapter number 1. It ultimately will be routed to the Tranquility module to provide data and electrical continuity between the U.S. and Russian segments of the International Space Station. Earlier, Cassidy did a quick inspection of what was considered to be some debris at the power and data grapple fixture at Zarya in the form of a grounding wire that was protruding from some multi-layer insulation around that robotic base on the Russian module. The flight support equipment bag that housed radiator grapple bar hardware is being returned as a get-ahead task by Parmitano to the Quest airlock. Other get-ahead tasks that may be in the offing will be addressed after this complement of work is complete to see how much time we reasonably have left in today's spacewalk that has been proceeding flawlessly by Cassidy and Parmitano. A variety of work already complete. The replacement of a failed transmitter receiver box to reapply redundant capability for the station's KU band communication system, the retrieval of a pair of material science experiments that had been exposed to the environment of space for the past 2 years, the installation, of course, of those 2 large radiator grapple bars for potential use in the event of a failed radiator on the station on either side of the station's truss structure, the installation of a power cable, at least the beginning of that installation work for the multipurpose laboratory module to be launched at the end of the year by the Russians, the removal of a failed camera on the mast of the mobile base system, and the installation, part 1, of a jumper cable that will provide a bypass capability to provide electrical power to key station systems in the unlikely event of a major component failure on the station. Also, Parmitano, working alone, was able to install a protective cover over pressurized mating adapter number 2, to which space shuttles used to dock and to which commercial crew vehicles are scheduled to dock in the future.
Copy. Now you can secure.
Put the booties on
Put
again.
the booties on.
Caps can dangle outside of the booty, right?
That is correct, Chris.
Where's the next tether spot? Or,
so you're going to wire tie to 0011.
Well, that's complete. Where's the next one?
Okay, you're going to route the cable nadir and port to the node 3 connector panel. Stovepipe is first with a BRT wire tie. And then there should be a node 1 118 with a pre-integrated.
Okay, got it. What's happening, Luca?
I'm at head cone, and I'm coming down towards the airlock, and I'm ready to copy allocation for the SSC bag.
Okay, Luca, you're going to go to the starboard side of the airlock on that end cone there, looking for handrails 0564 and 0567.
Is it Zenith or?
It's pure starboard, so go starboard of the toolboxes there on the very end.
Okay, copy.
And there should be 3 tethers, Luca, and we want you to cinch them down with all 3 of those tethers. Not cinch them down, but stow them with 3 tethers.
Copy. 0561, you said?
So it's 0564 and 67. So keep on going around all the way to the very starboard side of that.
Copy. 6467. Okay, I got it. I see what you're saying.
A good view of European Space Agency astronaut Luca Parmitano at the Quest airlock's hatchway as he returns a bag of flight support equipment, including items no longer needed associated with the installation of those 2 radiator grapple bars earlier today. That's being stowed inside Quest while Chris Cassidy works to complete the routing of a cable from the Zarya module, its power and data grapple fixture, all the way to a connector panel on the Tranquility module, node 3, if you will. This will provide ultimately an Ethernet data and electrical capability for the routing from the U.S. segment to that power and data grapple fixture, which is being contemplated in the future as a base for future robotic tasks on EVAs or spacewalks to be scheduled in the future.
Okay. I had to go around, get my tether squared away in the right path, and now I'm on, ready to go to a stovepipe. And you're saying use a wire tie for my BRT. Copy all.
Good read, Chris. And Chris, looks like you're getting towards 118. You're going to leave that bundle there when you're done.
Okay, copy.
Once Cassidy completes this cable installation between the power and data grapple fixture on Zarya and the Unity module, or Node 1, if you will, that connects the Russian and U.S. segments to the International Space Station, he'll pick up the bag that now houses the equipment that was used for the installation of the cover over the docking mechanism at pressurized mating adapter number 2. That task accomplished earlier by Luca Parmitano.
Everybody, I'm very sorry, it's Fedor. Luca, if it's possible, in 2 minutes, may you look exactly in our Soyuz. Thank you very much.
Copy. With pleasure. Shane, where does it go after 118?
That's the last part, Chris, and you'll just leave that bundle wire tied there to 118.
As Cassidy completes the tying down of that 1553 cable on the Unity module, or Node 1 of the International Space Station.
It looks like the FSE bag is stowed nicely. We're going to have you go get the crew lock bag that Chris had earlier. It's up on Node 1. Chris can help you, direct you, and then we'll bring that back to the airlock.
Oh, it's actually still on me. No sense in coming.
Hey, Chris and Luke, we're about PET of about 5:45.
Copy that. I'll just coil this up, and I think you were thinking we'll coil this up and head back. Work towards Ingress, Shane. How's that sound?
Fyodor Yurchik a moment ago asking Luca Parmitano to look at the Soyuz that is docked to the Rosviet module, which is on the Earth-facing side of the Zarya module of the International Space Station, obviously for an opportunity for a photo op. Yurchik rode that Soyuz as Soyuz commander back on May 29th, along with Karen Nyberg and Luca Parmitano, to the International Space Station on a single-day launch to docking and the start of an almost 6-month mission on the complex.
Pretty sure.
And as you heard, we are beginning to head into the final stages of today's spacewalk, which is now 5 hours and 45 minutes in duration. Luca Parmitano there at the hatchway to the Quest airlock, stowing bags of equipment that were used during today's excursion by him and Chris Cassidy outside of the International Space Station.
On this wing arm, I have one ret which is connected to the PGT. The PGT has one adjustable and a 6-inch wobble. Also I have another ret which is connected to the camera. And that's all for the swing arm. On the T-bar, for obviously other cameras, and on the T-bar, I have one ret with a fit pin. I have one ret without fit pin, 2 bunny ears with white eyes, and then one adjustable. And on the BRT, I have 2 white eyes and 1 red. Everything makes sense, Shane?
Hey, Luca, sounds like a good inventory. And do you have your camera on you still or not?
Yes, the camera is still with me. And I think I mentioned it in my inventory.
Copy. I just missed it, and feel free to use it at your leisure now. Thanks.
All right, Shane, I've got a socket caddy. Well, let me give you BRT first. BRT now has 1 wire tie, and it has a red. On my mini workstation, on the right side, I have a red with a pit pin, and then a red that goes to the camera, and then the camera integral red goes back to the PGT arm. On my PGT, I have a 2-inch 5/8 socket, an adjustable tether, and a ret that goes from the PGT to the swing arm. The left side of my mini workstation, now I have a socket caddy with a ret, and that is an extra ret that I picked up from, oh gosh, I can't remember where I picked it up from, but I think you remember where we talked about that.
Oh, who do you have to see back?
Yeah.
Yep, copy all, Chris.
And then the additional ret that's going to the TrueLock bag, which we inventoried already.
Copy, Chris. The only thing we didn't hear was the adjustable on your BRT.
Yep. It is there. Good catch.
Okay, good inventory. Thanks, Chris. Once you're done there and the bag's closed up, you can head back to the airlock, and we'll do ingress.
Don't forget about Fyodor, Luca.
I'm taking a picture of him right now.
Oh, very good.
He's my commander. I wouldn't want to get him upset.
Knees up, EVA.
This is Mission Control Houston, 5 hours, 50 minutes into the spacewalk. All of the work for today now has wrapped up. And as Luca Parmitano continues to play photographer, looking at Chris Cassidy, Cassidy has made his way back to the Quest airlock. The 2 crew members will soon climb back inside the crew lock section of Quest and close the hatch to begin the process of repressurizing the airlock that will mark the formal end of today's spacewalk that began at 7:02 a.m. Central Time today.
So, Luca, whenever you're ready, you can get the thermal cover open and ingress.
Copy. I need 2 seconds.
To summarize the work that the crew has performed today during this 170th spacewalk in support of space station assembly and maintenance, The crew removed and replaced a failed space-to-ground transmitter receiver controller to restore redundancy to the station's KU-band communication system. They retrieved a pair of material science experiments from the starboard truss of the International Space Station that had been out there collecting data for the past 2 years. They installed radiator grapple bars on both the starboard 1 and the port 1 trusses of the International Space Station that could be used in the event of a radiator failure on either side of the truss in the future to replace a failed radiator. They installed a power cable for the multi-purpose laboratory module to be launched at the end of the year by the Russians on a Proton rocket from the Baikonur Cosmodrome in Kazakhstan. That large laboratory module that will also serve as a docking port and an airlock for future Russian spacewalks will replace the Pirs docking compartment. They removed a failed camera from the mast of the mobile base system on the truss of the International Space Station. They installed, in the first of a two-part task, a jumper cable on the Z1 truss of the International Space Station that can be used to reroute power to critical station systems in the event of a major cooling system or power loss in the future, and installed a protective cover over the pressurized mating adapter number 2 docking port once used by space shuttles and to be used by commercial crew vehicles in the future. Working with maximum efficiency and ahead of the timeline throughout the course of the day, the crew also completed 4 get-ahead tasks: photography of the alpha magnetic spectrometer out on the starboard truss of the International Space Station, temporarily stowing the pressurized mating adapter number 2 cover bag, conducting an inspection of a robotic fixture on the base of the Zarya module of the International Space Station, and routing a cable from that power and data grapple fixture on Zarya all the way to the a handrail on pressurized mating adapter number 1. It will continue to be routed in the future all the way out to the Tranquility module of the International Space Station.
I'm removing my anchor plates. Let me know whenever you're ready for me to come in.
I'm ready for you to come in anytime, Chris. So sorry.
Okay. Sorry, I thought.
I cleaned up as much as I could. I was waiting for your order.
Roger that. Okay, Shane, all of the tethers are removed.
Sounds great, Chris. Grab the thermal cover on your way in.
I will do just that. My feet, Luca. Are they stuck on a bungee cord?
Yes, Chris, they are.
Are they free now?
I think they're stuck with mine.
Oh.
Okay, now you should be free. How does it feel?
There we go.
You have one that's now wrapped around. Your right one, your right foot is inside the bungee.
Cassidy and Parmitano now inside Quest, closing the thermal cover before they close the hatch. They'll hook themselves up to umbilicals inside the crew lock section of Quest and begin the process that will lead to the start of repressurization of the crew lock and the official end for today's spacewalk.
Almost. Okay, go back. Okay, forward. You got it.
Okay, thanks. All right. Thermal cover closed.
Copy, thermal cover closed. Attach the Velcro strap.
Sorry, Velcro strap, but it's attached as it's going to get.
Copy. All right, next, remove SCU from the stowage pouch. Remove your DCM cover, and then connect your SCUs to your DCMs.
Copy that. It worked.
It worked.
And this view inside Quest from the helmet camera for Luca Parmitano, wrapping up the first spacewalk of his career and the first spacewalk conducted in the past 5.5 years by a European Space Agency astronaut. Chris Cassidy wrapping up the 5th spacewalk of his career. Once the repressurization begins and we have an official elapsed time for today's spacewalk, we'll be doing some quick math and providing all of the latest spacewalking statistics.
That's complete for EV1.
Copy, Chris, and check your SCU is locked.
SCU locked.
82, SCU locked.
Copy. Note here, a TCV setting of 8 to max cold minimizes time for SCU cooling. So next you can take your water switches to OFF off, which is forward. Expect a message.
EV1, water off.
EV2, water off.
Copy both, and caution, do not close the hatch until the water off for 2 minutes. We'll let you know when that's done. And verify the outer hatch is clear of hardware.
Yes. I'll double check when I actually the hatch closed.
I can see it really well from here. I can see behind you.
Everything's up there.
Everything is clear behind you.
All right.
Shane, while we're waiting for the 2 minutes, can I say a couple of words in Italian for the record?
Yeah, Luca, go ahead.
Grazie. Vorrei dedicare questa attività extraveicolare a tutti gli italiani e all'Italia che mi ha permesso di vivere questa straordinaria esperienza per la quale sento la più profonda gratitudine per un privilegio straordinario dedico quindi al mio paese. Thank you, Shane. Thanks, everybody.
Great work today for both of you. The whole team did a great job. You guys obviously did all the nominal tasks and a few of the get-aheads. Really great day.
A big day personally for Luca Parmitano, becoming the first Italian astronaut to walk in space, offering thanks in Italian for the opportunity on this first of two spacewalks planned for him and Chris Cassidy, the next one a week from today.
Decal and close and lock the hatch.
All right, good work. Good, can you see my back?
Not your back, but I can pull your feet out.
Oh, there we go.
Oh, there you go. Okay.
Go as far all the way to the hatch as you can.
I am completely to the hatch.
Very good. Thank you. I see no fog sticking through. Hatch is closed and locked, Shane.
Copy. Again, great work, guys. I'll hand it over to Karen.
Yeah, we appreciate everything, Shane, all of you guys. Thanks.
Okay, guys, welcome back.
Thank you, Karen.
You.
Stop out there. Okay, Luca, on the UIA, can you check that the oxygen EMU 1 and 2 valves open?
Oxygen EMU 1 and 2 open.
Take the power for EV 1 and 2 switches to on.
EV 1, power, on. EV 2, power, on. I got 2 green lights.
The volts should be 18 to 19.
I got 18.5 for EV 1 and EV 2.
Okay, both of you on your DCMs, you can take your power to SCU. Expect warning tones.
Power Power SCU.
EV2 power SCU.
Okay, you can take your O2 actuator to press.
So with the hatch now closed and locked to the Quest airlock, we're standing by for repressurization and the official end to today's spacewalk.
EV1, O2 actuators in press.
Work for EV2. It's out of EVA, but it's not going into press.
Need help?
Right. Thank you. Okay. What's reading press?
There we go.
Copy that. You can take your comm mode to hardline.
Thanks again, Houston.
Only you too.
This is Mission Control Houston. Repressurization of the Quest airlock is now underway. That began at 1:09 p.m. Central Time to mark the end of today's spacewalk with an official elapsed time of 6 hours and 7 minutes. 6 hours, 7 minutes for today's spacewalk by Chris Cassidy and Luca Parmitano. The crew lock currently holding at 5 pounds per square inch of pressure. The crew will conduct leak checks on their suits before repressurization resumes. As you watch Karen Nyberg in the equipment lock section of Quest, once the crew lock section is fully repressurized, then she will be able to open the hatch and through the assistance of Fyodor Yurchikin, bring Cassidy and Parmitano back into the equipment lock section to begin the process of getting them out of their spacesuits. The statistics on today's spacewalk are as follows. Once again, it began with the crew placing their suits on internal battery power at 7:02 a.m. Central Time, ended with the beginning of the repressurization of the airlock at 1:09 p.m. Central Time. The spacewalk lasted 6 hours and 7 minutes. This was the fourth spacewalk out of the International Space Station in the past 3 months. 5 more spacewalks are scheduled this year, including 4 Russian spacewalks. For Chris Cassidy, he has now completed 5 spacewalks in his career for a total of 29 hours and 42 minutes of spacewalking time. For Luca Parmitano, the first Italian to walk in space, 6 hours and 7 minutes, of course, today. And out of the 170 spacewalks conducted over the past 15 years in support of space station assembly and maintenance, the 170 spacewalks have now accrued 1,073 hours and 50 minutes of spacewalking time, which is equivalent to 44 3/4 days of spacewalking time by space station crew members. This was the second of 5 spacewalks planned during the Expedition 36 increment. The first one conducted recently out of the Piers docking compartment. This one out of the Quest airlock. The first 2 spacewalks for Expedition 36, totaling 12 hours and 41 minutes of spacewalking time, with that total to continue to build with another spacewalk a week from today by Cassidy and Parmitano. 2 spacewalks in August planned by Fyodor Yurchikhin and Alexander Mazurkin. The repressurization of the crew lock section of Quest has resumed, with the leak checks having been completed, no issues. We'll be continuing our coverage through the time of the intravehicular hatch opening between the 2 sections of Quest and the arrival of Cassidy and Parmitano back into the equipment lock, where you see Karen Nyberg on the left, Fyodor Yurchikhin on the right, waiting the return of their colleagues. This is Mission Control Houston. The repressurization of the Quest airlock's crew lock section continues, nearing completion, at which point the opening of that intravehicular hatch will be performed, and Cassidy and Parmitano will be escorted back inside the equipment lock to be helped out of their extravehicular mobility units by Nyberg and Yurchikin. Once again, Cassidy and Parmitano working with maximum efficiency and ahead of the timeline throughout the entire day, completed their spacewalk in 6 hours and 7 minutes, completed all of the tasks planned for the spacewalk, including 4 get-ahead tasks, several of which were planned for the next spacewalk a week from today, in which Cassidy and Parmitano will emerge from the Quest at the same time, with our coverage beginning next Tuesday, July 16th at 6 a.m. Central Time, once again 7 a.m. Eastern Time, with an EVA start time planned of 7:10 a.m. Central, 8:10 a.m. Eastern Time. The hatch now open by Yurchikin. And with the flag of Italy on his left shoulder, Luca Parmitano now back inside the equipment lock. And Chris Cassidy back in the equipment lock. 5 spacewalks and almost 30 hours of spacewalking time now on his resume. The jet-powered backpacks called SAFERS, the acronym for Simplified Aid for EVA Rescue. Those devices being removed from Chris Cassidy's extravehicular mobility unit, as was the case for Parmitano a moment or two ago. Again, the spacewalk lasted 6 hours, 7 minutes in duration. Everything was accomplished by Cassidy and Parmitano, including a quartet of get-ahead tasks that originally were placed on the timeline for next week, when the duo will emerge from the Quest airlock once again on Tuesday, July 16th, for the second of their 2 spacewalks to accomplish a variety of spacewalking work. Our coverage next Tuesday will begin at 6 a.m. Central Time, 7 a.m. Eastern Time, as was the case earlier today. The spacewalk scheduled to begin again at 7:10 a.m. Central Time. With Cassidy and Parmitano back inside the Quest airlock and ready to doff their extravehicular mobility units, we'll wrap it up for today. Once again, a flawless spacewalk executed by Chris Cassidy and Luca Parmitano, the 170th spacewalk in support of space station assembly and maintenance. With that, we'll close with a programming note. On Wednesday at 10 a.m. Central Time, our Space Station Live hour resumes on NASA television with all of the latest activities associated in the post-spacewalk time frame for Cassidy and Parmitano and their crewmates, and all of the latest work associated with the Expedition 36 increment aboard the International Space Station. So for that, thanks for tuning in throughout the course of the day. The spacewalk having been completed at 1:09 p.m. Central Time, a 6-hour, 7-minute spacewalk for Chris Cassidy and Luca Parmitano. Have a good day. With that, this is Mission Control Houston.